Alright, guys. I can't fucking believe this. This is just disgusting. This is absolutely horrid. Another setup shop? The cancer, the bane of iRacing. Those scammy ass setup shops. Oh, wait, never mind. That's me. That's my shop. That's our new shit. House of Speed. That's right. Now, before everyone gets on their high horse, I know there's been a lot of talk of setup shops are bad and that it is a scam. First, I don't see how exchanging money for goods and services voluntarily falls under a scam. I mean, maybe if they were telling you, it's one thing and it just turns out to be like the baseline, I could see that as being a scam, then yeah. And, everyone's like, well, they say a setup will make you win and you'll be a better driver. And, well, I mean, that's not a complete lie. But I still don't think it falls under a scam. But, yeah, I just feel like there's, and I mean, there always has been, a lot of hate for just setup shops in general. I think it's just, I get it. It's the way a lot of them carry themselves, where, I mean, people think that it's like, okay, this guy's trying to sell fool's gold, when they make it sound as good as they do sometimes. Like I said, I wouldn't really call it a scam. There's a lot of people that not just benefit, but are also very glad that it's out there, that setups are available. Like I said, there's three main reasons I think that people buy setups. And the first reason is, well, you're that guy that's always like, well, the setup carries everything in iRacing. The driver doesn't do a lickety-fuck thing. It's all setup. They win. The best setup wins the race every time, 100% of the time. And now, well, that person's clearly fucking retarded, but we won't get to that. But there is one reason that would lead someone to buy a setup. Maybe that's the truth on asphalt. Which, yeah, or even road, but, and I can't really, I can't sell the fool's gold and whatnot, because, I've said it on, anyone who's watched my channel and watched me talk about setups has heard me say it multiple times over again, where, yeah, a setup's not just gonna magically make you better overnight. A setup is just a tool. You need multiple tools and to put them all together and to work together in order to win races. But a setup is a tool. But like I always say, my brother can get a setup from me anytime he wants, and he's not the worst driver in the world. And he can compete in some, he can win some officials, and he can compete top 5 and win decent SOFs. But it doesn't just automatically make you better. And like I said, I've said that before, so I can't just come out and say, hey, buy this setup, it's the best thing ever, because I've talked about how dull, especially the sprint car setups are, and how there's not really any speed you can find. As long as you have 2 or 3 things, that's all that really makes the whole difference in the world. And I've said that on my YouTube channel tons of time before. The second thing is, I don't know why people would just buy a setup, is just because they're curious. They want to see what's actually different. They work on their own stuff a little bit. They're trying to learn, they're trying to tweak, and they're trying to see, well, okay, if I look at one of my setups, say, they can say, all right, what was I doing right? What was I doing wrong? Maybe they were confused about what to do once the track gets slicker, and I think that's just really a key selling point. With, well, why should you choose us as a setup shop? Well, I mean, our driver lineup speaks for itself. We don't have to play up, on our results. Dylan Hauser, Hayden Cardwell, and myself. How many money races, championships, whatever, league races, official races, whatever stats you think matter or count, I'm sure we at least fit the bill in some other part, We're not, I'm not throwing any names out there, but we're not these wannabe pro drivers that can't cut it in league races and just struggle to make the main, but they can win an official race from time to time. Like I said, my brother can do that. But yeah, so I mean, the names speak for itself. We have to push our results and our agenda, because when you hear those names, those are names that they have had skin in the game for years, and they've been the top 5 drivers in their respective classes for years, or for whatever. And that's the other thing. It's always like, well, it's never the real setups. They're always watered down setups from what the pro drivers are actually trying to sell you. Here's the deal. Well, I'm actually selling my entire folder. Number one, my entire folder for non-wing pro series. The dates or everything involved, I think it was over 80 setups just for the one season that I won the world championship in non-wing pro. Just selling that whole folder straight up. And number 2, the 3 of us are, compared to what we used to play, are taking huge steps back from the game. We have other things going on in life, mainly revolving around work, and it's really been super busy with this whole Bristol update. It came at the worst fucking week possible. But it's like we don't have to be worried about racing against our setups. And even if we did, we still wouldn't be worried at all. Like, okay, it's a fixed setup race. Are you not going to bet on, Hagen Cardwell? Who am I going to be, afraid to race against in a fixed setup? Probably Hagen Cardwell. If everything is fixed sprint car race. So that's about it. But yeah, it's really just, we're 3 drivers that we might not even, any of us, run another pro series. So it's really, there's no reason for us to care, whether or not someone's out there winging on our setups, because it's not like we're racing against them 4 or 5 nights a week, like we used to maybe. And like I said, we offer 6 setups, 3 tacky, 3 slick, all for changing track conditions. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's I never cared to learn telemetry at all. Never been into Motec, just because, with dirt tracks, it's always changing conditions. Always, always, always. There's a reason Tim Ryan's best when it's just, full slicked off, one lane around the fence, because you can set up for that one thing. If 100% sure the track's going to do that one thing. But, throughout a night, from practice, qualifying, all the way to the feature, the track is changing. And this way, with the 6 setup guides, with the 6 setups, you're at least able to just kind of read a track and go out with confidence, being like, okay, we'll put Slick Heat 1 in because there was a pre-gen in the official. I noticed that when Cedar Lake came out, I made a qualifying set for it, for Ryko, and then once I ran the officials for the week, it was like, well, fuck. I think every single one of them was pre-gen, and it was like, well, it's slicker than shit. This qualifying setup's going to be too loose. But this way, you can kind of, you don't have to worry about that, and you don't have to even run this just because the setup says heat. Maybe you got to use it for a B main, or maybe you think it's even slicker than a slick qualifying track might be. So just take fuel out of a heat race. But you can also learn on what to change throughout a night. See what I change throughout a night when the track does get slicker, or what I do in very tacky track situations. So you can see all that with the multiple setups. It's just more information that you can use to gather to help you to learn whatever. But then the third reason why people just buy setups is just those people that are a little more casual. And I think this is most of it, honestly. Most people who go to setup shops is because they don't really know about race cars that much. Like I've said, when I got into iRacing, I didn't know dick about race cars. And guess what? I still don't know dick about race cars, but I know what I like changed in my sprint cars in the game. But there's people who, people have, family, wife, kids, or whatever, and they can only do maybe a couple races, not even a night, but every other night. and they don't have time to, kind of quote unquote grind out and figure stuff out. So the easiest thing for them to do is, just pay for a setup. That way, like I said, you're going out there confident that you have something good under you and something that you can work with, and that's really, like I said, it's a tool. It's one of many tools. Running the top is a tool. Knowing when to pass, when to be passed, they are all tools that you have to use during a race. And a setup is just one of those tools that make you a better driver, make you a winning competitive driver. It can make you a better driver just from the fact, like, say you're on maybe a modified baseline setup, and I've done videos where I do run the baseline, but it is a lot more. It's a little more, I guess, unpredictable, I would say, and where if you're constantly trying to, fight the car, how much can you actually focus on running your line, trying to run your line to the best of your ability, or improving on your driving if you don't know what the car is going to do every lap. Now, you have to ask yourself, well, is that the driver, or is that more to the setup, or where am I doing something wrong? And eventually, I want to get, our vision for the website, and probably won't happen this season, just because we're all so busy. But I do want to evolve into like a VRS type thing where we do coaching and have video sessions and whatnot. So I would like to expand on that eventually. And I mean, like I said, I put tons of content on my YouTube channel. It'll be like that, maybe a little more in depth, maybe a little more personable with people. But we'll see. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But what was I saying? How just having a good setup can just make you a better driver from the fact that, you're not constantly having to fight or guess what the car does. You can focus on running a certain line consistently, like, okay, I want to get better at running the bottom, so I'm going to try to run the bottom the whole race, and you're not having to dick around with that. But like I said, just drivers with proven records who really don't have anything to lose. And I mean, there's, like, we'll just use Alex for an example, because they're like, okay, well, Alex is the world championship. They're the world champion. He's the better drivers. Why shouldn't I just go buy his setups? And like I said, I mean, you can. I'm sure his setups are great, but this is also the same Alex that initially never wanted me on Team VLR back in late 2017, early 2018. Why? Because Team VLR had all the best setups then. So he was already on the team, and he voted no because, he didn't want more people on the same setup as him. He's the same person who didn't ever want to stream because he didn't want people to see his pedals. He was paranoid about that. He was the same Alex that was scared. He was paranoid that VRS could see his setups if he used VRS. So, I mean, you can trust that, or you can say, okay, well, this guy's been honest and open about setups in the past, in my YouTube videos for the last year or two. Do you want to buy from him, or do you want to buy from, someone who might water it down a lot more? Like I said, I'm literally putting a folder out, my exact world championship 410 wingless sprint car setups, and a lot of these setups I even make, or especially like at Cedar Lake, the only setups I made for it were the day one Ryko setups, and then the setups that I made for the latest Pro Series. So instead of having to make a whole new setup, I just renamed the fucking Pro sets. And like I said, a lot of them, each setup is each track is unique in terms of like corner width and whatever the fuck, and all unique that way. But I'm not going to, in sprint car, like I said before, it's a lot of it's the same stuff, kind of the same stuff everywhere with little tweaks and difference that, it can set you apart from, and that's really where it is once you're in the top echelon of drivers, where that stuff might start making a difference. If you're just a driver trying to come up through the ranks and improve, you can just buy one setup and just try it everywhere first and just see how it works out. And this is really like, it's the post-pro season shake-off, I guess we could call it, like driver shake-up, because there's so many drivers, like just on my team, all the Slick and Speed Lab guys, compared to a year ago where maybe 8 to 10 of us would be running a league race 4 nights a week. Right now, there's maybe 2 or 3 of us. Because there's just drivers that are either burnt out or they're just tired of the game and playing other stuff. And what that does is, like I said, every night that opens up 10 feature spots, opens up spots in the top 5. This is the best time for, as a a driver trying to improve or trying to be an up and coming driver, to take that next step and start competing. And there's been tons of drivers that have done it, eventually once they kind of got started, once they were able to get their head wrapped. Like just when I joined VLR, okay? So I did my own kind of setup stuff, and I was pretty decent. And then I got on VLR with Austin, who had the best setups at the time. Setups were still pretty close to running 4 years later. But then once I was like, okay, yeah, here's where I was doing something right, here's where I was doing wrong, played off that, and that's when I really started to step up and excel. One of the more recent names is probably Felix Roy. He's a big block driver, but he would run decent in the few officials I ran. But then once he joined up with Ryko, he just started winging a ton of races. He was able to make up that next step to be a driver. And right now, the best time to kind of start trying was a couple weeks ago, but the next best time to start is right now. It's like an investment. In a stock that can only go up. Are you going to bet on yourself? That's really all I can say for it. Everyone's always, that's not going to change people's opinions who, thinks all setup shops are scam and whatnot, but like I said, we're just trying to, we're not trying to sell you fool's gold. We're really just trying to sell you peace of mind, and, we want to see, a plethora of new good drivers to the scene would also, be great, instead of racing the same fucking 5-10 guys every time. More competition makes for better racing, and ultimately makes everybody better. Makes me better, too, as a driver. Yeah, and then the next best thing, GameStop. If you guys don't know, it is a stock that is currently only valued at about $270-something, but has the potential to actually moon. Long story short, it could reach $100,000. I have some shares of GameStop. I will probably be selling on the way up, but I will hold 1 share of GameStop. And if that share of GameStop does hit $100,000, which it has a chance to, I don't know how big that chance is, but a chance. So anyone who buys a setup, between this season at all and when GameStop hit, yeah, I said when GameStop hits $100,000 per share, I will buy them a brand new race car of their choosing. Sprint car, modified, I don't care. You can't get this anywhere else, people. It's a free race car, okay? And that is not a scam. It's not a pump and dump. Yeah, anywho, just check out the website. Leave a like on the Facebook, guys. I'll try to leave some links down in the description, at least. But, yeah, I'm really liking this. Hoping it goes smoothly. And, as always, peace to fuck.